Well, now let me see if I can find Phil at home, if he's arrived and able to talk with us.
He is.
So I am here, Jim.
Fantastic.
So you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me okay? There's a bit of noise here. So I am actually at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. And what I thought we'd do today, because this is about local NMRA divisions and clubs, and thought it was a great opportunity to talk about kind of what one organization does to promote the hobby. So I'm going to flip to my forward camera here. Let me see if I can hang on.
I gotta kid you.
There we go. So basically, this is an area of the fairgrounds. I'll show you the main area here. I'll point over to it in a moment. But you can kind of see a lot of stuff. This fair gets about 500,000 people. Comes to it every year. It's a fairly populous county, one of the larger county fairs out in this area. So you kind of walk over this way, and you kind of, this is that down towards the main part of the fairgrounds is down this way. This is kind of right at the edge. You can kind of see the rest down here. What you can see over here, see we have a live performer here. But if you look behind that, you can see back there, there are some signs for a model railroad. So what I'm going to do is walk across here. Probably won't be able to hear me. You'll be able to hear the music. So this is actually the Alameda County Central Railroad Club. We actually have next to it a farm tractor museum. The fairgrounds actually put together, which is nice because we've got more attractions here, bringing more people in. So if you're into farm tractors, there are some very nicely restored farm tractors in here. Then over here, you can see one of the things we did, because we're not very visible, is built this structure, which actually is totally removable and portable, kind of taking advantage of our model engineering skill sets. If you notice, it's all panelized with conduits held together by wire to hold the framework. But that actually brings a lot of folks in. So I'll go ahead and walk in here. So one of the things we did starting in about 2017 is we actually changed the entryway here, got rid of all of the kind of model railroading miscellaneous and cleaned it up, made it much more inviting to the public. We have the advantage of our membership dues are $24 a year, $18 for seniors, because we basically fund the layout off of donations from the public. So one of the things we're trying to do is make it very interesting to the public. So I got a few members here greeting people. Basically, the club has an HO layout, which is here on the left, and then an O scale layout on the right. And these were basically built very much as display models. So if you look down here, this is actually the walkway down the center, and there's an exit door at the other end of the building. This building actually has been occupied for about 40 years. It was originally built as stables for the horse racing track. And when they moved and got new stables, this structure became available. So I thought I'd kind of just walk through it a little bit. You can see there's a lot of folks here in the aisle. We typically get about 50,000 visitors during the fair, and then another probably 10,000, 8 to 10,000 other events. I just thought it was kind of interesting to see a little bit about the kind of layouts that we're showing here and what we're doing. This is the HO layout. It's basically a single track layout. I guess it's what one would call a bowl of spaghetti track plan. We'll look at it a little bit more down there. The O scale layout over here on this side is actually a double track figure 8. But, you know, we've done a lot of things interestingly over the years. So, for example, right here, originally this was built as spline roadbed and had 3 of these bridge supports built underneath there. But if your train stops right back here, it's a lot easier to go through here than to crawl underneath and crawl around. So over time, this all got broken out, and for many years was just hanging in space. So one of the first things we did when we got here is built actually a lift bridge here. So you can go in and notice, by the way, it does have a limit switch that locks out the tracks here. So when you open it, you can't run a train through. We also run a trolley line up the hill. I think we're having a challenge with that right now. But down here, we typically have at least 2 or 3 trains running all the time. You can see back in the back there, our city. I think I may have talked about that at one point. That was all done with large prints on masonite. We run a trolley up there again, having more things available for the public. So you kind of see how many folks we get on the HO side. You know, they have a narrow gauge layout up here. Typically on the HO side, they run 5 to 7 trains at a time with different operators. It's a single main line, fairly large loop. So you can see another train running up here. Fairly well done layouts on both sides, but the HO is actually finished better, more opportunities to build things on the O side. So you see here on the HO side, we've got kind of an operating panel here. These layouts were all built back in the DC era, so they tend to reflect control and systems that were pretty much common during that time. Then on the other side, we've got the O layout here, and kind of you can see a train going there, kind of our main line in our yard. There's a Challenger going by with a Zephyr train. Not necessarily a prototypical combination. What we found is the public really doesn't care. One of the things we do is we actually have a monitor, and the train's actually stopped right now, but it'll go in a moment. And this lets the public see what it looks like actually at scale speed. And it's a great opportunity to explain the concept of scale speed and how things work. So see back here, one of these advantages of having a layout that needs work is you get people to join to build. So for example, we had a new member build those bridges back there. Come over here again on the HO side. You see one of the nice things on the HO side is because it's a long looping main line, you can actually have multiple trains running simultaneously on it, which really delights the public. So, and down here on this end of the HO layout is, kind of a major city. Again, showing the advantages of HO, the scale you can build. And you see in the back, there are monitors here for the hidden areas under the layout. On the O side, back over on this side, and you kind of see the standard gauge. And then at this end of the layout, we have a narrow gauge area. It's built out as a separate area. And we have a couple of members who are doing narrow gauge and tend to run trains around on the narrow gauge. I don't know if there's a train running right now. Didn't ask before we started this. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see down in there in the narrow gauge yard there. We've got a train coming through. And the narrow gauge also extends to the far end of the layout, but unfortunately that hasn't been run for a number of years just because the maintenance is very high. And there, by the way, that's the camera car. That's a GoPro session with a big battery. Down at this end, swing over to the HO side. You can kind of see the city here. Some interesting scenes with a fire scene and other things. And then we actually have here a movie theater. And it's actually showing right now, I think this is American Graffiti on the movie theater. And then this is the far end where people exit. And what we've tried to do here is do some displays to talk about railroad things. So these are displays that talk about the Zephyr and the Transcontinental Railroad, kind of put some information in. Unfortunately, because of the layout and the space, we don't have a large clubhouse. We've got basically a locker area here, and then we have a small upstairs room where we can do some maintenance and have some meetings. But anyway, that's basically the club. Any comments, questions? Anything anybody'd like to see? Or
Yeah, Phil, I have a couple questions actually. Does the club own the building, or are you renting it?
Actually, this is one of the beauties of this place is we don't rent the building. We don't have a lease. the long-term plan of the fair was to tear this building down and have it become open space. In the last 5 years, we've gotten much more ingrained. I think the fair really likes us now. But for us, what's beautiful is we get a free building, we pay no rent, and we don't pay any utilities. So really our only cost of occupancy is insurance.
Wow, that's great. And also, how often
So it
are
makes
you
it,
open to the public?
makes it a very cost-effective club. And quite frankly, because I'm doing this in California at about 5 o'clock, you know, it's interesting. I have a picture. I won't be able to show it from here. I don't think I can share it effectively, but I took a picture one night down here at about 7:30, and we had 5 people under 30 years of age running the engines here. So, you know, it's a great club for young people to join because it's not expensive to join, and there's a lot of support in the membership.
And how often are you open to the public?
So we are open basically for the fair, which is typically 18 days. It's been 19 occasionally. Basically starts in the middle of June and runs till typically the weekend after July 4th. We're open for 3 what are called Good Guys. Good Guys are a car collector club. They do shows across the country. They used to do 4 here at the fairgrounds. They're actually headquartered in Pleasanton, so they're a local company. They used to do 4, they now do 3. And then we're open typically once a year for a great train show. So this year we'll be open 18 days for the fair and 8 days for other events. So about 26 days. Typically we're raising $6,000 to $7,000 a year from donations.
Wow, that's terrific. And are there more videos available on YouTube of the layouts?
So we actually have, there are a couple of videos of the layouts. There's a company out here called TSG Multimedia. And if you haven't seen them, they're worth looking at. It's a local guy.
That's John Abitacola.
Does videos for a business. He's filmed a lot of layouts, and he did both an O scale and an HO layout videos about a year and a half, probably, actually it's been longer than that because it was probably pre-COVID. And I just put up from the O scale side, a cab ride video, which you'll get to see a little bit of later. And we're going to do, actually, I'm planning on doing an HO one tonight. And those will both be up. I put those on my own channel. So there's a Phil Edholm channel I put videos up on that are my own. So yeah, there's some interesting videos. They're nice layouts. Like I said, if you look at the HO layout, flip it around again because I'm right here. It's actually very high quality, dense modeling here. If you kind of look at the station and the platforms and, so I think they've done through the years, they've done a very good job on this area and modeling this area. The turntables and everything work. And so, again, one of the things we've done is we've done a lot to reestablish the vibrancy of the club over the last 5 years. And actually, what's interesting, this year, we probably had, if I talk about what are active members, I think we probably had almost a 20% increase in membership this year. And most of them are either younger members or parents and even younger members. So, it's actually been pretty exciting the last year.
That's terrific, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Jim, unless there are any other questions, I think I'll just throw it back to you. I hope that was interesting for everybody, and we'll hope to see you next week.
Really well. Let me ask you a question, Phil. How large are the layouts? What kind of size are you talking about?
So both of the layouts, let me flip back to my forward camera. If you kind of look, this is the HO layout. What you can see is the layouts were actually designed where the O layouts are longer on either end or wider on either end, and the HO layout is wider in the middle. Obviously, that was done to accommodate the large turn radiuses. We have 7-foot radius turns on the ends on the O side. So you can see that kind of the average size over here is probably about 16 feet, and the layout's about 90 feet long. So, it's probably, each layout's probably somewhere in the 1,200 square foot range.
Yep.
They're fairly large layouts. On the O side, if you're not running fast, if we ran the video, we were running fast. We had some performance engines with the engine, the cab ride video. normally at the speeds these engines are running, you kind of see the two running here. The time around the layout is 2 to 3 minutes on around the layout.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time to show us.
Super. Well, thank you, everyone, and I will bid you adieu and talk to you next week. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Phil. Really do appreciate it.